Tonight I wanted to change the pace of things a little bit. There's a verse in Isaiah chapter 11 that talks, verse 6. It's got some beautiful imagery there. It says, "The wolf shall dwell with the lamb, the leopard shall lie down with the young goat, the calf and the lion and the fattened calf together, and a little child shall lead them." I was thinking this week, looking at, around home, my son, who I still think of as the baby of the family, is now 14. He's taller than me, which isn't much of an accomplishment, but still, when you're a father and your children get taller than you, that's a bad thing. But I was remembering back to a time when things that were important to me were different than the things that were important to him. Specifically, there was one time, it was been about late January, early February, we were into taking care of the birds in the yard, and it was a brutally cold winter. And he had gone to bed, and we had read a book, and this is when he's a little guy, and suddenly he sat bolt upright in bed. And he called out, and we thought something was wrong, like, he'd thrown up or done something like that. And got up to his room, and he said, "Dad, we forgot to feed the birds." And I looked at my watch. It's like 10:30, 11 o'clock at night, and I'm winding down at that time. And he was adamant. I said, "Well, they'll be okay. God takes care of them." And he said, "No," he said, "that's our job." So there I was. I went out in my shorts and my slippers and below zero temperatures with some bird food to feed the birds. But that always has stuck with me. And I notice now that he's getting older, he's losing some of that. And in fact, most of the adults that I've met have no concept of this anymore. So tonight what I wanted to do was I talked to a young friend of mine, and he agreed to come up, and this is unscripted, but just to let me talk to him and kind of interview him. And he doesn't know what I'm going to ask, but from the wisdom of Isaiah, I think we might hear some wisdom from some new eyes and from a new perspective tonight. So how old are you, Carl, exactly?
7.
So you're 7? Okay.
Almost 8, yeah.
Huh?
Almost 8.
Almost 8. When's your birthday?
July 15th.
Okay. Yeah, you are almost 8. Good for you. It's kind of cool. What is one of the favorite things that you do? And what do you like to do? If you had time on your hands and could do it right now, what's one of the favorite things that you like to do?
Go to bed.
Go to bed? Really? Do you? Do you read in bed, or do you just go to sleep?
I'm tired right now, so.
Oh, okay. So right now you would go to bed. So you got them. You can put them to bed when you get home. Have you given any thought to what you might want to be when you grow up? No? Does anything intrigue you? Like, when I was a little kid, I wanted to be a pilot. My friend wanted to be a farmer. I have no idea why he wanted to be a farmer, but he's a good one. You know what? So do you have any idea at all what you like? Do you like science? Do you like engineering? Do you like growing stuff, helping people? No idea yet?
Mm-mm.
That's okay. That's pretty cool. When you're 7, almost 8, you don't have to know all the answers to that. So do you mind if I ask you some questions about God? Would that be okay?
Yeah.
And I want you to tell me what you think, okay?
Yeah.
If you don't know the answer, it's okay. But I want to know if you could talk to God right now and get an answer. Okay, we can talk to God anytime, but God doesn't always answer. But if you could talk to God right now and get an answer, what would you ask God?
What exactly happened back then?
Okay. When the world was created? Nice. That's a great question. Do you think it would be much different than what we read about in the Bible? Do you think it would have happened differently?
I don't know.
Okay. Oh, I like that. So if you could ask God one question, what exactly happened back then, would be your question. How about this? Along that same line of thinking, if you were in charge of the entire world and you could say something and the world had to do it, all right, there's a game that we play like that. What's that called? I forget what that is. It's not Simon Says, it's another one. But if you could be the one in charge and the world had to do whatever you said, what would you tell the world to do?
I have no idea.
You don't like that question? That's a tough one. That's okay. That's all right. I'd like to think of that, there's wars and there's people that are hungry. I think the thing I would ask is that God would, if I could make the world do whatever I said, I would have everybody treat each other with love and with kindness. That's one of the things Jesus talks about in the gospel tonight. He asks us to treat each other with love and kindness. What are some of the things you do that show love and kindness to other people?
Well, I don't know, sometimes when we're playing a game, if they're younger than me, I'll let them go first.
Good. That's a big deal, isn't it? Because you wait patiently for your turn. And it's hard to wait. Do you like to wait? I don't like
sometimes,
to wait.
Yeah, in golf, because I can learn from the other people's mistakes.
I like that. Does it matter if you like the person that you let go ahead of you, or just you do it because it's the right thing to do?
Because it's the right thing.
Wow, that's really important. I like that. Sometimes I forget that. I like to think I'll take care of my friends, or I'll take care of people that take care of me. But if I don't like somebody, you know what adults do sometimes? Sometimes adults, we like to play games, and we'll forget or pretend like we don't see those people.
What, fist fight? Because in NASCAR racing, there's two people that almost got into fist fights.
You got it. So here's another question. God asked Jesus to die for the sins of all people. You understand that, right? We've talked a little bit about that at other times. You understand that God asked him to do that. Do you believe that God asks all of us to do something in the world?
Yeah.
Okay. I do too. The challenge is figuring out what he asks us to do. Well, what I want to ask you is, what do you think God is asking Carl to do now, at 7 years old? Do you think God asks you to do something? It's a tough question.
Probably, yeah, but
okay.
No one knows what it is.
Well, I don't know. I'll bet you would. I know you to be a kind person. I know you to be a helpful person. If I ask for somebody to help, you're always one of the first people to volunteer. Do you think maybe God could be asking you to, at this point in your life, to be helpful? Does it make sense to you?
Yeah.
Okay, I like that. How about the church? Do you think God asks the church, all of the people here, does he ask us to do something together? In your mind? What do you think that is?
Helpful and be kind to people.
Be kind to people. I like that. Help people. Yeah. Sometimes we forget that. I kind of think that sometimes we should listen more to you and people your age, because you have a clarity about your thinking. It's still very clean and very focused and uncluttered. And what I would like to see us as adults do is to maintain that, or for some of us to reattain it, because I think as we get older we lose it. Like I said about my son, he woke up and he hadn't fallen asleep, but he sat bolt upright in bed because he knew we had to feed the birds. Did we have to feed the birds?
No, not really, but it's a nice thing to do.
Well, but he knew that, in his mind, it was important that we do that. And that's one thing I like about you, is you seem to go to those things. If you had advice, do you have any? You know what advice is, right? Yeah. Do you have advice for adults from the perspective of a 7-year-old? What would you tell the adults in the world to do? Do you have any good advice? Words of wisdom?
Well, I don't know. Like you said, probably listen to us a little more.
Okay. That's actually good. You know why they're laughing? Because they know we don't. They know that we don't. But what it means, though, is that if we're going to listen to you and people your age, you have to keep your ears tuned to God's voice. Can you do that? That's what I think Isaiah is talking about too. I mean, a little child will lead them. He's talking about someone who knows God and hasn't forgotten yet that it's important to follow God in faith. And you do that really well. So tell you what, strike a deal with you. I'll listen to you more if you promise to keep listening to God. Fair? Will you do that? Okay.
I mean, it's not usually the pastors. It's mostly the,
The other people? See, exonerated me. Nice job. I like you. I didn't pay him to say that. No, you know what? I'm going to put myself in that same group, though, because the truth is, I didn't want to go out when my son said, we got a few. I didn't want to go out, and this is like 20 below that night. And I was ready to go to bed. So I'm like the rest of them. I need to listen to what you have to say. So if you will listen to God's voice, I think that's important. One of the things that we didn't touch on tonight is the possibility of being a servant. You know what that is? What is it to be a servant? How do we do that? Do you know what it means? Does it mean?
Yeah, like do what they say and follow what they say.
Exactly. Do you have any good advice for the church as we want to see Jesus better in servanthood? I mean, how do we follow Jesus to be a servant? Is there something that we should do that we're not doing? That you see?
I don't know.
Yeah, okay. That's fair, but it's something that we should think about, isn't it?
I mean, we're not the best followers, but we're not the worst followers.
What could we do better?
I don't know.
Why are we not the best?
Well, no one can exactly be the best servant of God. Jesus is probably the best that
That's
you
true.
can get.
So it's our job to be kind of like Him, to try to be like Him, and then God picks up the slack and forgives us when we're not? Okay, good advice. Thank you for coming up tonight. I appreciate your candor. Nice job. Could you give Carl a hand, please? I don't know if you understand the strength it takes to come up and let some knucklehead question you. And I didn't give them those questions ahead of time. I don't think that's quite fair to the congregation. But Carly did an outstanding job. And I think as a people of God, I hope you heard what he had to say. Some of the questions he doesn't have an answer to. So where will he look to for those answers but us? But you heard that we should listen to him and that age more. And I think we would if we were certain that they were listening to God. So we're going to close this, and I'd appreciate your comments after it. If you liked it, if you didn't like it, there's a lot of wisdom in the congregation I would like to tap into in the coming months and as we gather together. So thank you for your patience tonight.